the trophy, one half of the Blonde Bombers, coming out and exposing her truth with this Bria Hartley situation, and she's also letting it be known the behind the scenes and what's really going on.
Everyone keeps asking, everyone's like, you know, and I'm like, literally, she doesn't even know. Like, it's just like a day by day legit type of thing. And so yeah, she's close, but like, you also have to remember, like, she could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA by now, but like at this level, with how deep and like how good people are nowadays in our league, which is the best it's ever been, like you can't just be good, you have to be on top of your game. And so just trying to get her back in game shape, I think, is what they're trying to do. But like, again, it's literally a day by day. I'm not holding out any information.
Be able to play if this was not sumo wrestling, if this was not UFC, if you guys did not play rugby in these basketball games, she'd probably be able to get out there and do her thing. But she has to put on all this armor, which caused her to get hurt anyway. She had to put on all this armor because y'all don't play basketball. It is rugby. Sophie, I love you trying to hold it down. We love that you were trying to hold it down. We wish you a speedy recovery. But as far as what's going on in WNBA, we are on them. We gonna stay on them. It's not gonna change. It's not gonna change.
Do not get me wrong. I think, like, again, I think she's a hell of a player and like would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. Like, you literally couldn't touch her. And that shit is so...
Stephanie White's claim that Caitlin Clark might be quitting the team sent shockwaves through the WNBA community. Not because fans actually believed Clark was walking away, but because of what it symbolized. Here's a rookie who has already become the face of women's basketball, leading broadcasts, ticket sales, and national headlines, and suddenly her name is tied to quitting. It struck a nerve because Clark has been marketed as the unstoppable force ushering in a new era, and the very suggestion of her stepping back creates ripple effects far beyond Indiana. This wasn't just a comment. It was a spark that ignited one of the league's loudest debates. TV ratings put Stephanie White's comments about Caitlin Clark into perspective right away. Indiana's most recent national broadcast drew 864,000 viewers on ABC, more than doubling the WNBA's season average of 380,000, and much of that surge was fueled by curiosity about Clark's role on the team. That's why White's suggestion about Clark potentially quitting hit harder than any typical post-game remark. For a rookie averaging 17 points, 6 assists, and drawing sellout crowds across the country, the framing wasn't just about basketball, it was about optics, leadership, and how one narrative can alter momentum for a franchise that already sits under the brightest lights in women's sports. The consequence is that every word attached to Clark ripples outward, to fans, to broadcasters, and to the Fever's own locker room identity. What makes this moment matter now is timing and visibility. Caitlin Clark isn't just another rookie guard adjusting to the pace of the professional game. She's the most watched player in women's basketball, and every game she plays has become a referendum on the WNBA's growth. Through her first month, Clark averaged 17.1 points, 6.4 assists, and nearly 3 made threes per game, production that already placed her among the top 10 guards in efficiency when on the floor. But more importantly, her impact extended far beyond the stat sheet. Indiana's offensive rating with Clark running point sat at 104.3, compared to just 96.7 when she rested, a swing big enough to decide close contests in a league where margins are razor-thin. When Stephanie White suggested Clark might be quitting the team emotionally or mentally, it didn't just cast doubt on her composure, it magnified questions about the Fever's identity at a pivotal moment in the season. The Fever entered this stretch sitting below .500, their playoff odds hovering around 44% according to her Hoop Stats projections. In a conference where 2 or 3 games often separate the 4th seed from the lottery, Clark's consistency is the difference between Indiana breaking a 7-year postseason drought or missing the playoffs yet again. White's comment, amplified across national talk shows and social platforms, risked shifting the narrative from Clark's historic rookie impact to one of fragility and drama. And in the WNBA's current media climate, perception bleeds into business. Viewership numbers have been climbing at unprecedented rates. National TV audiences are up 27% year over year, with Fever games accounting for 4 of the league's 5 highest-rated regular season broadcasts. That growth is tied directly to Clark's draw. Any suggestion that she's faltering, disengaged, or potentially walking away puts pressure not just on Indiana but on the league's central growth engine. Ticket sales show why it matters even more. The Fever have averaged more than 15,000 fans per home game this season, up 86% from last year and well above the league-wide average of roughly 6,500. That spike is driven almost entirely by Clark's presence. On the resale market, average prices for Indiana home games are routinely hitting triple digits compared to league medians in the $70 range. If her reputation takes a hit, or if White's claims spark lingering doubts, that energy could soften, and the Fever cannot afford that at a time when they're capitalizing on record demand. In this context, Clark isn't just a rookie learning on the fly. She's the centerpiece of a financial, cultural, and competitive transformation. White's remarks struck at the heart of that transformation, which is why the fallout feels so much bigger than one coach's comment after a tough stretch of games. Unlike Caitlin Clark's current situation, where every word attached to her becomes a headline, past rookies didn't carry this same level of scrutiny. Take Sabrina Ionescu in 2020. She entered the league with plenty of hype after her legendary Oregon career, but injuries cut short her early momentum. Her debut drew 419,000 viewers on ESPN, impressive at the time but far from the near million Clark now commands for a regular season game. The Liberty weathered Ionescu's struggles quietly because the spotlight wasn't quite as bright. Clark, by contrast, is in a social media ecosystem where a single sideline gesture or post-game comment becomes a trending topic in minutes. Stephanie White's quitting remark played into that dynamic, fueling narratives that wouldn't have existed a decade ago. Comparisons to Diana Taurasi's rookie year in 2004 also highlight the difference. Taurasi averaged 17 points and immediately validated her number one pick status, but WNBA broadcasts then rarely cleared 400,000 viewers, and ticket sales didn't double overnight. The mercury could develop around her without the constant pressure of national narratives. Clark, though, is living in a different reality. Her NCAA Final Four run peaked at 9.9 million viewers, more than the men's semifinal, and she carried that audience into the pros. No rookie in league history has entered with that kind of gravitational pull, which makes every piece of commentary exponentially heavier. Even in men's basketball, the parallel is stark. LeBron James' NBA debut in 2003 drew 2.7 million viewers on ESPN and instantly set him apart as the league's chosen future. But while LeBron was criticized early for being overhyped, nobody was seriously suggesting he might quit or mentally check out. Clark, however, faces that kind of storyline after just a handful of inconsistent games. The gap between expectation and reality is magnified by the WNBA's urgent growth push, where one player's trajectory is being tied to the league's expansion, sponsorship deals, and even its upcoming media rights negotiations. This contrast is why White's comments matter so much more. Clark isn't following the rookie blueprint of Stewart, Ionescu, or Taurasi. She's carving out a new one, where success is measured not only by points and assists but also by ratings, attendance, and marketability. And unlike her predecessors, she's being judged against both her own production and the massive cultural wave she brought with her. That dual standard makes any suggestion of disengagement or quitting carry stakes far beyond basketball. The deeper context of Stephanie White's quitting remark is that it didn't just stir basketball debate, it hit every business and branding metric the WNBA is trying to grow right now. Caitlin Clark's return to primetime coincided with a surge in merchandise sales. Fanatics reported that her jersey was the top-selling WNBA item for 3 straight weeks, surpassing even veterans like Aya Wilson and Breanna Stewart. After White's comments, searches for Clark jerseys on the site spiked another 18% in just 48 hours, not because fans thought she was leaving, but because the narrative itself pushed her name back into national headlines. This shows how controversy and speculation fuel the market as much as buzzer beaters or highlight reels. Ticket sales tell a similar story. Indiana already leads the league in attendance, averaging over 15,000 fans per home game, a number nearly triple the league average. But in the wake of Clark's quitting storyline, StubHub reported that resale prices for Fever Road games jumped from around $95 to $142, as fans wanted to see for themselves how she would respond. Sponsors are equally tuned in. Google and Nike, 2 of the WNBA's cornerstone partners, use Clark's image heavily in their campaigns, and every storyline attached to her impacts how they roll out ads. White's comment wasn't just about basketball. It influenced how billion-dollar brands position the league's most marketable rookie. Even the gambling markets reacted. DraftKings reported a 27% increase in handle on Fever games during the week following White's claim, with most bets tied to Clark's point totals. Odds makers understand her volatility drives interest. If she drops 30, the hype builds. If she struggles, the speculation intensifies. Either way, her name moves money. That's rare in any sport, let alone for a rookie in the WNBA. The WNBA itself is navigating this moment carefully. Average national TV ratings are up 31% this year, and much of that growth is directly tied to Clark. ESPN and ION executives know that every storyline involving her boosts broadcast reach, even if it isn't flattering. But that puts the league in a delicate position. Growth built on controversy isn't always sustainable. If fans come to see the WNBA as a league of drama rather than basketball excellence, the long-term image suffers. That's the balance. Capitalize on Clark's viral power without letting narratives like quitting define her rookie year. Projecting forward, Stephanie White's claim about Caitlin Clark quitting sets up ripple effects that stretch far beyond a single press conference. For the Fever, Clark's presence has already shifted playoff math. 538's live model showed Indiana's postseason odds jumping by nearly 14% after her last breakout game. Without her stability, those odds swing the opposite way. If this narrative continues to paint Clark as frustrated or disengaged, it risks creating an atmosphere where every loss feels magnified, not just on the standings sheet, but in the cultural conversation. In a league where Indiana hasn't made the playoffs since 2016, the perception of instability could alter how fans, analysts, and even opposing teams treat them down the stretch. For Clark personally, the stakes are massive. WNBA rookie contracts are short and relatively rigid, meaning performance and perception in year one lay the foundation for her future value. If she's framed as checked out or ready to quit, that shadow follows her into sponsorship negotiations and future roster-building decisions. Conversely, if she flips the narrative with consistent play and leadership moments, she becomes not just a star, but the face of a new media rights era. Broadcasters are already circling. ESPN, ABC, and ION know that Fever games draw ratings 2-3x above average when Clark plays. Her continued rise could help push the league's next media rights deal past $120 million annually, more than double the current package. Sponsors, too, are watching carefully. Clark is already tied to Nike, State Farm, and Gatorade, and her marketability depends on stability. If this quitting narrative sticks, even without merit, corporate partners could hesitate to overextend campaigns. On the flip side, handling the adversity well makes her brand bulletproof, proving she can carry not just a team, but an entire league's image through turbulence. From a league-wide perspective, Clark's trajectory also sets the tone for incoming stars like Paige Bueckers and Juju Watkins. If the WNBA shows it can manage controversy around its biggest rookie and still turn it into business growth, it proves the system is ready for the next wave of nil-era superstars. But if the narrative feels mismanaged, it risks discouraging casual fans just as the league is seeing record highs in attendance and TV ratings. Stephanie White's claim that Caitlin Clark might be quitting the team wasn't just a headline. It was a stress test for the WNBA's ability to handle its brightest star under fire. Clark has already proven she can deliver ratings, sell out arenas, and move merchandise like no rookie before her, but the conversation around her is now as much about composure as it is about stat lines. The Fever need her focus to climb into playoff relevance, while the league needs her stability to sustain unprecedented growth in viewership and sponsorships. This moment, more than any box score, reveals how fragile yet powerful the WNBA's momentum truly is. So the questions now cut to the heart of the debate. Can Caitlin Clark rise above media noise and prove she's not just a scorer, but a leader built for the spotlight? And more provocatively, if every stumble is magnified at this scale, will Clark's rookie year define her as the face of a new WNBA era, or will the league's brightest star be forced to fight narratives as hard as she fights to